Open the packet. It's got a 0, so the sweet chili capsicum, sweet baby capsicum has a 0 rating, and it's around about 100 on the Scoville scale. Now, Scoville is how heat is actually rated, and it's got about 100. Pretty pathetic, really. So pop it in the bowl, that's it. That's it. Everyone's got to get one, that's it. It's a 0. It's a 0. It's nothing. This is kind of the warm-up. It's kind of get your taste buds going. It's nothing in it. Nothing at all. No, totally. Yeah, a big one. Okay. So everyone needs to hold their chili up in front of their face. That's it. Not hot. That's it. By the stem. You can use you can wimp out if you want and grab the tissue. That's fine. No, that's fine. Go, Paul. My money's on Paul. Oh, it's Lawson's out there. Right. You need to eat all but the stalk. So when you're ready, please eat the first one. Like I said, 0. It's nice and sweet. It's just going to get your food starts. No, it's okay. Don't worry about the competition. Just eat. You may eat. Let's go. There it is. How delicious is that? Beautiful, eh? Nice and sweet. Look at Denzel. Go, Denzel. Go down. It's not a race. Lawson, you are. It's not a race, son. It's a race to the end, not the race to eat your chili. All right, when we're all done, no one's tapping out, no one's going for the milk. Fantastic. All right, let's move on to chili number 2. Chili number 2 is a green cayenne pepper. All right, next level, it's this green cayenne pepper has a 1 rating. So we've gone from a 0 to a 1. So I'm being very, very kind to you early. It has about 1,000 to 1,500 on the Scoville scale. So let's give one of each to... What's that? Sure, they smell. Oh. Yeah, cut that in half. Just cut in half. I've just broken it. All right. There we go. You got the head, you got the tail. There's a few seeds in there. Okay. You want the seeds? All right, I'm just going for my hands here. They're clean. They're all right. There we go. Like I said, rating number 1, it's going to have a little bit of heat, but nothing like the other one. Was the other one sweet? No heat? Sweet, no heat. There, see, I'm not tricking you. All right, number 2, here we go. On your marks, get set, go. As I said, it's a green cayenne pepper. It's a rating 1, and it's about 1,000 to 1,500. Matt's straight in. He's pretty happy about that. How's that, Lawson? Nothing. Besides drinking a bit of water, really, isn't it? Nothing. It's just like, yeah. Michael, all good? How you going, Michael Sarr? Fantastic. Anyone tapping out? Show us your mouth. Hands up, all good? All clean. Round number 2. Congratulations. Give him a round of applause. All right, now we just get a little bit more serious. Thank you. All right, now we move on to a red cayenne pepper. Red's a little bit different from a green. All right, we go from a rating 1 to a rating 4. So starting to get a little bit serious now. All right, go from a rating 4. This has a score of about 2,000, about 5,000 on the score. All right, everyone ready? On your marks, you may eat. Please eat away. You will be the one that tap out. When you grab that drink of milk, that's when... How's that, fellas? How's that? Little bit of heat? Yeah, it's good. Denzel? Good flavour? Great. Good flavour. Lawson? Any register yet? No registering on any scale yet. My goodness, he's up to a 4 and he's got like a 0.
Come on, Jordan.
Go, Jordan. How's it going, mate? Going well? Getting a bit warm? Michael Sarr, how you going? Come on. Beautiful, delicious. I've chosen the best. All right, All right, we have to wait. Clear, Matthew. Not tapping out. Clear. Good. Clear. We got Jordan. Woo! Michael's got a tear. What's going on, Michael? You're still worrying. Woo! How you going, Jordan? Bit warmish? It's getting a bit warm, all right? Thank God that they're here and not you. I'm telling you, it gets ugly now. I'm telling you, it's going to get ugly in a minute. If you want to tap out, you can tap out any time. A tap out point is you grab that glass of milk and you just say, I'm done. Come on, Michael. Come on, Michael. Round of applause. Come on. Rev him up. Come on. Come on, son. There we go. There we go. Fabulous. Fabulous. What's this? This one? This one next? Give that to Michael and Jordan. Fantastic. We're still in, Michael? Still in. One more. Okay. We're going to jump up. So we've had a 0 on the rating, 1, a 4. We're going to jump up to about a 6. Oh, I'm going to go to 6, okay? This is a jalapeno chili. It's about 5,000 to about 15,000 on the Scoville scale. All right, so we're now starting to get into the real men category. Before that was boys. They've all made it through from boys into men. So give them a round of applause. We've made it actually through to manhood.
So if you want them on rubbing their eyes or...
Yes, do not rub your eyes or your willy. All right? I just want Pop was trying to be a little bit decor, but just don't rub the old fella, all right? No girls here, are there? All right. Are you ready? On your marks, get set, go. This is, again, like I said, please do not rub your eyes. Go, Lawson. Here we go. Go, boys. This is a jalapeno. It's a rating of 6. The next one's going to get ugly, I'm telling you. The next one's going from a 6 to an 11. So enjoy this. Yeah, I'm going to... How's that? Lawson, any heat yet? No, no heat yet. All right. All right. That was all right. You did all right. That was better than the last one, was it? That was good. Everyone enjoyed that. Not too hot. All right. Last two were okay. Okay. Now we're going to jump up. We're going to jump up from a 6. Everyone's all right. Still in? Still in. I'm really impressed. This one is going to really sort the men out from the real men. All right. We've made to men's status, but this is like Caleb Nichols status. All right. This is kind of man of God status. This is beyond. This is a bird's eye chili rating of 11. All right, rating of 11. So I've gone from a 6 to 11. All right. It's between 350,000 and 850,000. It's somewhere in that, depending on where they were cultivated from. It's small and it's bitey. Don't be fooled by its size. All right. Everyone's in? I'm really impressed we've gone this far. This is probably where I would tap out after here. I probably wouldn't go to the next one, but that's just me. And I am almost up to God status of Caleb. Okay, please eat your bird's eye chili. All the way. Well done. Fantastic. Matthew, coming great. Paul, smashed it. No worries. Heat, but not really too bad. Michael, no problems at all. No taste buds at all in there. Is that right? There's not a taste bud. All good? All good. Oh my goodness. My goodness. I can't. The testosterone in this place is ridiculous. Now I'm telling you the next one is a... You ready for the next one? Everyone's still in? I'm now taking no more responsibility. I've given you the opt-out. I would opt out of that one there and I would drink. I would not go with the next one. The next one has a severe warning. If you're pregnant, you cannot eat this. Thank God we're in a men's conference, so we're okay on that line. This one here is the Carolina Reaper. All right. It has a rating of 12. Somewhere between 855,000 and 2 million, depending on where it was cultivated. We've got a few tiers going on here. That's good. All right. Karen, you ready? Kieran, you ready? I'm telling you, this one's bad. Do not rub your eyes. Do not rub anyone else's eyes. Do not grab anyone else's will to win. That's right. Keep it on your own will. And Willie. All right. This, I take no responsibility for. This is a bad boy. And I am so impressed that you've made it this far. All right, how's the heat factor? Denzel, I can feel it in your eyeballs, the eyeballs. Look into my eyes, son. Look at my eyes. Yeah, you're struggling. That's good. Paul's a little bit wavy. Not too shabby, not too shabby. He's a little bit wavy. Watch your eyes. Tissues. No effect at all. Oh, a little bit of colour there. How you going, son? Yeah. Oh, this is dangerous. I'd be tapping out. Mike's made a great comeback. All right, which table will be the final? Oh, Ian has no idea what's going on either. So, at your own risk, I have no more say in this. You may eat. Denzel's weighing up. Well done, Ian. Well done, Michael. You only live one, son. But we want you to live. Oh, he's gone in. How was that, son? That put a bit of cat among the pigeons. That was hot? That was hot? Denzel says that was hot. That's good. It's the gift that'll keep on giving, let me tell you. Denzel, I can't believe you. Wow. That is... Warm? Warm. Really warm. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm amazed and shocked. These guys, give them a round of applause. Like, seriously. It's not gonna go away for some time. That's the end. You may drink. Well done. How you going, Jordan? Wow, I cannot split them. That is remarkable. Well done. I have... I have, some well dones along the journey, all right? Just can't believe it. Fantastic. Oh, I've miscalculated. Do I have not one left? All right. You guys will have to share that. That's the biggest one. That was going to be for the winner, but if you can just cut that in half. Give it up one more time. I am very impressed. It's going to keep going. Watch your eyes, please. Well done, Denzel. What's that? Oh, yeah. Yeah. Who knows? All right, let's just get this cleared up. Fantastic. Well done. Really impressed. Absolutely brilliant. And let's get ready for Pastor Caleb and his next session. We can clean up the milk spills. Very impressive. Chris, can you just get rid of in the bag there? Just shove it in the bag. Just shove it all in there. All right. Okay, I think the chilies are going to kind of increase in temperature. Yeah, just take them over to the side. That'd be great. Thank you very much. Really, thank you, my helpers. How fun was that? Just absolute great. Pastor Caleb, we're looking forward to your next session with us, and that'll take us up right through to lunch, and then after lunch we have our master class in cooking and barbecuing, and I'll be taking that one predominantly. So let's give Pastor K a round of applause as he comes up and gets ready.
Hello, testing. We are on. Fantastic. Wow, very impressed. Yeah, that'd be great. Very impressed. I'm not much for chili or those kind of things. I don't mind a hot curry, but not much for those kind of things. I thought we were going to keep going, get hotter and hotter there, and I was thinking, it's unfair because Lawson's an import, an Indian import. You know, it's like NBA versus the rest of you guys are like NBL. An Indian import, they get breast milk and chili when they're born in India, so can eat anything. It's been a great morning so far, and I just want to share with you for a few moments about being an authentic man. And we're just going to chat a little bit about what it means to be fully honest as a man, and 4 different parts that make up a man. But first of all, I want to tell you a little bit about, I said to you last night that I'll tell you a bit about George Washington, and this is a picture of Washington here when I was in Washington, D.C. last year, and you would have seen the white Capitol building in D.C. before, and it has a rotunda and like a spiral on the top of it, and we were inside the rotunda there, and these 4 huge paintings on the wall right up there in the rotunda, and it's a really impressive room, and there's all these different statues in every state. All of the 50 states in America can choose which person or which statue they want to have in this rotunda in the Capitol building. They can change their statue at different times, but they all have one statue of some great person, some inventor, some forefather that they have in the Capitol building. It's a really impressive place, and in this room here is where they do the big memorial services and things like that. And the last person to have a memorial service and have their body displayed there to the public was actually Billy Graham. And so it's a really powerful room, and just history and all kinds of things. But on the wall is this picture here, a very famous picture, and it's George Washington, the first president of America, before he became president, handing in his resignation of General of the Army. And George Washington is really a great representation of the all-round man, the fully their man in every way, manliness flowing through every part of his life. And I didn't know much about George Washington until about 3 years ago. I read a book by Eric Metaxas about 7 great men, and it tells a story, a short biography of George Washington. I was just impressed by this man and began to understand why he's such an important figure in American history. And one of the reasons that George Washington is so respected and revered is because he was trustworthy in his day. He was a general, and a great general, but it wasn't just because he was a man of war. He was an amazing politician and the first president of America for 8 years, but it wasn't because he was a good politician. He was an amazing forefather in America, but it wasn't just that. It was that powerful men of his day, powerful generals, powerful politicians, the forefathers of America, the men who wrote the Constitution, they all respected and trusted George Washington. He was a man of integrity. And he wasn't only a man of integrity and great stature on the inside, but for his day, he was a large, physically large man. He was 6'3", so a tiny bit shorter than me, but going back, 300, 400 years ago, that's a pretty big dude. So he was a physically big, impressive looking man, and he was known for his incredible courage. He would often, when he rode into battle, he would often ride in front of all the men, and they struggled to keep up with him. And there's a famous battle in the war, because he fought for the British initially against the French. And there's a famous battle that he fought in against the French where he was shot 4 times through his jacket. There was bullet holes, but he was not wounded. And he was known as a man of great courage who would just run into battle, run ahead of his men. Horses were shot from underneath him, but he actually never was severely wounded. And then if you know a bit about George Washington, after he fought for the British, he actually fought against the British in the American Revolution. And he was named the general of the American armies to fight against the British, which at the current time was the most powerful fighting force in all the earth. But the Americans actually didn't have any army. So he was general of an army that didn't exist. And he literally founded and grew an army from these Americans that had colonized their nation from the few states that made up America at that time. And he built an army. He trained an army. He disciplined these ragtag men into a fighting force that actually defeated the British, the greatest fighting force in the world at that time. And in that moment, we come to this picture. As he's won the American Revolution, as he's been general of the army, as he's fought to found his own nation, rather than take position as the general of America or maybe become the king of America, he was sitting there with the most trust, the most respect, and the most power of any man in that nation, yet he handed in his resignation at general, and he humbled himself, and he stepped away from power, and he returns to his farm in Mount Vernon, I think it's called. And in this moment, you see the integrity of the man. When the whole world lays before his feet, power lays before his feet, wealth, fame lays before his feet, he steps away. And he steps down and he steps back. Why? Because he believed in the future of his nation more than he believed in his own destiny, his own position, his own power. But he was quickly drawn back into the affairs of his nation because as the American War was coming to an end, there was a rebellion called the Nuremberg Rebellion, and that's where some of his officers that he had fought alongside of would not put down their arms. They would not stop violence and fighting until they were paid. Because they had won the American War of Independence, but officers and army men had not been paid, and America had no money. It was just a nation that was just being birthed. And these men threatened to take over as a military power, to take over this fledgling nation and control it with guns and with violence and power. So it drew George Washington off his farm, and he came back in and in a very famous speech, he talks to these officers that had fought for him and laid down their life, who were frustrated and wanted to be paid. They'd lost their mates, they had died, they'd gone through years of war for seemingly nothing. They hadn't been paid. And in a famous speech, he reads out a letter from a man in Congress that had been sent to him, but it wasn't the contents of the letter that changed the course of history here. It was the fact that out of his pocket, he pulled a pair of spectacles. And he said to all these powerful warriors, these fighting men, he said to them, "I've grown grey in service for my country over these years, and I'm going blind." And in a moment of vulnerability, in a moment of weakness, this great general pulls out his spectacles to read, and it's told that there was men breaking down in tears. These men were cut to the heart, and he began to talk to them about the idea of a nation, a free nation, a republic, rather than a nation ruled by violence, rather than a nation ruled by a monarch. And these men put down their weapons and came into a place of peace and allowed this nation to actually be fully birthed. And the Constitution was written, and then they invited him back to be the first president of America. And it was George Washington who set up many of the traditions that the American government and the president still follows today, including only a two-term presidential, as a maximum, only 2 terms. So 4 years and then 4 years, of which he served 8 years. And again, despite the power, despite the position, despite the authority, he handed in his resignation after 8 years of president, and a new one was voted in, and that still happens today, 400 years later in America. No man can hold control of the nation for more than 8 years. So what we see here in Washington is we see a man that's whole in every way. Every part of him, physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, is intact. His conscience, his spirit is working true to a great cause. He's moral, he's integrous in everything that he does. And mentally, he's intelligent, he's wise in battle. Emotionally, he's able to connect with hearts. He's able to be vulnerable and humble when it's required. And what we see here is a whole man. It says in Luke 10:27, "Love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your strength, and with all your mind, and love your neighbor as yourself." It's only possible to do your neighbor, to do others, to connect with your wife, children, your church. It's only possible to do that if you're a man that's fully intact. Everyone say heart. Everyone say my soul, my strength, my mind, There's 4 parts of a human being and 4 parts of a man that we see here. There's 4 intelligences, you might call them: IQ, PQ, SQ, and EQ. So the mind, there's a need to, it's not about being good at reading books or you are great at school, but IQ is about your speed of understanding, being able to understand and comprehend, being able to continually learn and understand and ask questions and grow. That may be academically, but it also may be about things in life, about new areas. I'm constantly challenged as a man with new frontiers, and since becoming a husband and a father, there's always new frontiers of manhood. The challenge of your family's finance, the challenge of handyman jobs around the house, the challenge of training and raising children. There's always new frontiers where I can apply my mind and learn through asking questions and reading and researching, or I can withdraw and stay mentally comfortable, but not rise to the next dimension. There's strength. Strength is about, and our body is about how we execute, the way that we use our hands, the way that we use our feet, the way that we use our bodies to actually fulfill our destiny. And it's important that physically we're in the kind of shape that can carry us forward in our future. There's no good being a great father if you die of a heart attack at 45. SQ, there needs to be an alignment in the spirit. And not only in the spirit as we understand it as Christians and Pentecostals, but also in the spirit as in pursuing truth, in the spirit as in doing things that align with our conscience and not doing things that deny our conscience and deny what we believe in. And then there's the heart, to do with passion, to do with emotional intelligence, to do with relationships. And an important part of this weekend, that the tables you sit around, the discussing as men, the having a laugh at men, a lot of that is in the area of the heart. Because you could sit in a conference in straight lines, like Peter Shadbolt said, and you can hear mentally and take information in. But emotional intelligence and connecting heart to heart is different. It's not about information. It's about learning through others. It's about camaraderie and actually doing life shoulder to shoulder with other men. Showing, I love the last session there where we took communion, because there was an opportunity, and on my table here, I thought we were probably the best table out of all the tables. So the way we took communion was the most spiritual. We were the last table to run to the food. So I thought we really nailed it. Man, true men here. Well, I think the revelation is most potent over here. But to take communion together and just have a moment of vulnerability and share about our upbringing, share about our weaknesses, and then thank God that we can come around communion and that Christ makes a way forward. We couldn't even be vulnerable. We wouldn't even be able to do that unless Christ had died on the cross. We'd be stuck in our self-protection and our pride and our inferiority and our fakeness. But because of Christ's blood on the cross, we can say, I struggle with humility. I'm a bit harsh sometimes. I'm a bit passive sometimes. And we know that through Jesus Christ, we can grow. The last column there, the 4 parts of you, it's so critical that they're operating and that they're healthy and that you're engaged with them, because they help give your life purpose. And without purpose and meaning in your life, then what are you living for? You're only living for a paycheck. You're only living to survive another day. You're only living to hopefully one day kids grow up and don't hate you. I mean, that's no way to live. But these 4 things in operation in a healthy, holistic man, well, the mind, therefore, becomes a place of learning. There's a purpose to the mind, to keep learning, to keep understanding, to keep discovering this world. The body, its purpose is to give life and to aid life. You can't live life to the full if you've got an injury that you can't even walk. You can't live life to the full if you're physically not working top notch. And I know for men, this is a particularly weak area, to go to the doctor, to acknowledge that I actually have an injury that I need to see a physio and rehabilitate. Like, we find this difficult because we're often not honest with ourselves even about physical things. Therefore, how are we going to be honest about emotional things, spiritual things, deeper things? The purpose of the Spirit and is to be able to leave a legacy. It's a spiritual thing to leave a legacy. Yes, there may be the physical assets or finances, but the legacy that you leave, the most powerful legacy you leave, will be in the spirit. To hand your children Christianity is the greatest legacy. I'm so thankful every day that I was born into a Christian home where Christ was right in front of me. Yes, I still had to choose, but he was right there. It was clearly taught, and that's the greatest legacy that you can leave your children. It's the greatest legacy you can give to anyone connected to you. And to love, the purpose of life, to have a heart that's loving, that can be loved, rather than to have a heart of stone that can't accept love, that can't encourage, that can't affirm, that can't look at the good in someone. So I hope you can begin to understand, the importance of these 4 areas. It's like our 4 limbs. I think everyone here has 2 arms and 2 legs. Yes, everyone has 2 arms and 2 legs. I know some of us, our shoulders don't work properly and our legs are a bit gimpy, but you got 2 arms and 4 limbs. If you cut one of these off, you're going to be restricted to a certain degree. Cut off your arm, you're going to be restricted to a certain degree. You're still going to be able to live life. You're still going to be able to do stuff, but it's going to get harder. You can make adjustments to a level, but you'll never be able to embrace life as strongly as before. Basketball will be difficult for you. Some everyday tasks in the kitchen will be tough without an arm. You cut off a leg and an arm, then it's really difficult. Not only are you limping, you're going to have all kinds of other problems and muscle soreness, and you might not be able to work without an arm and a leg. It's the same with the 4 parts of a man: the mind, the body, the soul, the heart. If you deny one of these areas, cut off one of these areas, stop allowing the life of Christ to flow into one of these areas, what happens is it just dies. It drops off. Whether you like it or not, whether you choose it or not, whether you're conscious of it or not, I constantly see situations where men have amputated their soul, cut off their spirit, ignored their physical body, and it creates a problem, creates a big problem. The authentic man. Authenticity is not only sharing honestly. That's information. We can share information, but it's not only that, but it's embracing reality. That's what it means to be genuine. And it's actively moving towards truth, towards something good, towards something better, towards something great, towards a brighter tomorrow, towards a better future, towards a better home, towards a better career, towards a better workplace, towards a better church. Don't get caught thinking I'm authentic because I can share information about myself. Many of you before, when we had communion, would have shared information about yourself, and that's a level of vulnerability and a level of authenticity, and yes, it's honesty, but honesty and sharing information without reality renders you inauthentic still. Because information and honesty shared, but an embracing of the reality of life, the difficulty of suffering, the challenge of following Jesus Christ, the crisis going on in your life right now that you didn't choose to have going on, but it's going on. The embracing of that reality allows you to be authentic even in the greatest storm, the most difficult moment, the most challenging conversations. Men are often guilty of putting their head in the sand. And it's not because they can't say, yeah, well, I'm having some real marriage problems. They can share information, they can be honest. But often it's, are they embracing the reality of that marriage difficulty and then actively moving towards a better marriage, a greater truth, something that's good in their life. I've many times come close to hitting the wall, to hitting a place in my life where I fall apart. I know there's men in the room here that have had experiences of deep depression, have had moments of maybe we call it burnout or overload, mental breakdown, spiritual backsliding. These are moments when we hit the wall, but maybe we hit the wall in one area. Maybe it's in the mind. Maybe we hit the wall in the spirit. Maybe we hit the wall emotionally. But what happens when you hit the wall is that you break. And you may be physically strong, but if you break emotionally, you break. You might think you're mentally strong, but if you break spiritually, it all breaks down. Doesn't matter how good your tires are, if the engine's rotten, the car's going to break down. Doesn't matter how new the paint job is, you could have replaced all the interior and your car looks fantastic, but if the tires are no good, they're going to pop, they're going to run down, the car's going to be broken down. We must continue to be aware of the 4 parts of a man and keep all 4 parts healthy, keep all 4 parts connected to Jesus, keep all 4 parts in the forefront of our mind. If you aren't healthy, if you aren't strong in God in all 4 areas, then you will break. You will break. No man is stronger. No man can get away with it. No man is clever enough. If you don't address these areas, give time to these areas, you will break. It's not good enough saying, but I lay my life down for my wife. If you fall apart, your wife will suffer the consequence. No good saying, but I work hard for my kids and I provide. If you fall apart, your kids, you might have all the money in the world, but you won't have an emotional connection with your kids, and then that relationship will be strained for the future. We tell ourselves stories, we justify, but the reality is, if you fall apart because you didn't look after yourself, the people connected to you will suffer. They will suffer if you fall apart. The number one person that you must look after is you. Is you. That's why I get on my face most days and cry out to Jesus Christ, because the number one person that's critical is me. And if I'm not getting to Jesus and dealing with me, my wife will suffer, my children will suffer, my work will suffer, my friends will suffer. And obviously I don't say that in the worldly sense of look after number one and just hate everyone else and manipulate. I don't mean it like that. I mean look after number one, because it doesn't matter how much you love your wife and your kids, if you fall over, they suffer the consequences. I hope this is making some sense to you. Many times I've come close to hitting the wall. When I was a young man, it was, my dreams and aspirations of playing professional sport. They fell apart and they hurt me emotionally. I was depressed. I was frustrated. It hurt me spiritually. My destiny, my call, I thought that was it. And I feel like the rug's been pulled from underneath me because I thought this is what God wanted me to do. And the temptation was there. The danger was there. I was on a precipice of falling apart. But thank God I was a young man and there wasn't too many stresses and I was able to move through that. The challenge of children, especially with Aurora and Eva not sleeping, and the years and years without sleep, and having a wife that was physically, mentally, emotionally just absolutely pushed to the cliff edge for years on end. There was moments there when I was weak. There was moments there when I was run down spiritually. I was run down mentally. I was run down emotionally. I was foggy in my mind. I was emotionally didn't have much for anyone else. I was physically, hurting in pain, not much sleep. But in those moments is where it's so critical to not just be honest that it's hard, but to be authentic and embrace the suffering, embrace the reality of what's going on, but also embrace that God is a good Father, that God's grace is sufficient for me. Also embrace the truth of the word and actively move towards a better day, because God is good, not because I'm capable, because God has promised it in his word, not because I can just pick myself up again. Because it's in the moments when we come to the cliff edge and we think I'll pick myself up again and go a little bit harder and be a bit stronger, that's the first step towards breakdown, burnout, fizzling, mental overload. It's in those moments when we come to the cliff edge and we embrace reality and authenticity as a real man and say, man, mentally, I'm just not clean. I'm not accurate. I'm not thinking straight. Or emotionally, I'm disconnected. I'm an island. I'm not talking to anyone. No one speaks into my life. I'm not being honest. Or spiritually, I'm just not connected to my church. I'm not connected to the word of God. Just got to be honest in those moments when we're authentic is when we save our life and when we save those that are connected to us. How does a man get to this place of breakdown? That's what I used to look like at 25. Who's a man here? Who's living a life here? Who's got some stressors acting on your life and your manhood here. We all do. We all have stresses. We all have stresses. It doesn't matter if it's as basic as going to high school. Going to high school is a stressor. Anything you do in your life creates stress. But stress isn't bad. Does this man look like he's under stress? So if you understand any principles of fitness or exercise or weight training, you actually don't get fitter and stronger unless you create stress. It's the stress on the muscles that causes them to grow. It's the stress on the mind and studying at school that makes you more intelligent academically. It's the stress in the prayer room of crying out to God that builds strength in the inner man. So we understand that stress is good and stress is necessary to move on from immaturity. Is that true? So here's a man under stress. It's not that stress means we fall apart. Why do men fall apart? Why do men fall into error, fall into sin? Well, it's because they're not honest. They're not authentic about the stress in their life. Whether that's honesty in sharing it and opening up to another man, or whether that's honesty in the authenticity, genuine sense, embracing the fact that there's stresses, or whether that's just maybe mere life management of going, okay, there's a lot of stresses on my plate at the moment. Let's be honest about how I can manage this. What do I need to do? How do I approach life? Going out the door to work every day is not going to deal with the stresses in your life in a healthy way. And confronting them, writing them down, talking through them, getting mentoring, guidance, getting a word from God. These are the things that help you move forward into truth, into honesty, into being the man that can handle stress. Come here for a moment, Jack. Do you know how to do a squat? Let's imagine that this is a huge barbell like this man here is lifting. Come here, Jack. Turn around. That's it. Now I'll put it on your back. It's pretty heavy. All right. Now let's imagine we've just got some little 5 kilo plates that we've put on the end of this barbell for Jack. All right, do a squat for us, Jack. Yeah, nice, pretty easy, pretty easy. All right, let's add on another 10 kilos, all right? These plates are a little bit bigger. But you're a strong boy, you're a big boy. All right, can you squat that? Yeah, pretty good. I mean, a tiny bit of pain, but pretty good. See how we're adding stress here? Doing Accelerate discipleship training this year, has that added a bit of stress into your life? Yeah. Bit of stretching, bit of burden, bit of, there's people in your life, there's mentors poking at you. Adds a bit of stress. But you grow, don't you? You expand. Now, getting married was one of the greatest, most enjoyable things I've ever done in my life. But it adds stress. It's a little bit of extra responsibility role. It's a new role being a husband. Now we add a little bit more stress on, maybe another 5 or 10 kilos each end. Can you get? Okay, it's getting a bit tougher. It's getting a bit tougher for him. But then all of a sudden you lose your job. Whew, that's a big plate to put on. You feeling the pressure of that? You lose your job. Something goes wrong that you didn't expect. I mean, Accelerate was a good stress. Getting married, it's a good stressor, but I've got to grow a bit. But now I lost my job. I didn't plan for that. Now I've got no money to pay the bills. Now there's some stress coming. Now there's some real weight coming. But I don't care. I'll just go bang out another squat. Go for it, mate. It starts to get almost impossible. He can barely get back again. All right, now he's thinking now he's calling his mates in the gym come and spot me. Come and hold it for me. This is where we need other people to run in. Do you understand the concept of spotting your mate? Like when someone's bench pressing, Daryl's a great bench presser. If you're going to get stronger, Daryl, and build stronger muscles, you need to push yourself to the edge. But the only way you can push yourself to the edge safely without dropping a big barbell on your chest is if you've got 2 guys either end spotting that weight for you. So if you get in trouble, they can help rack it back for you and that you're not going to get crushed by that weight. I see a lot of men around my age, you've followed Jesus and you've served in your church and then you've got married and you've had 1 kid and then you've had 2 kids and then you've had 3 kids and then you used to be at uni but now you've got a job and you don't only have a job but you're actually a manager and you've got responsibility and things going on in your life and then things start going bad in your life in some areas because now you're 35 and you're right in the trenches of real life here, and then maybe your father passes away. Maybe you're physically ill for 6 months. It's difficult to get over. All of a sudden the stresses are building up. The weight plates are being put on. You try to do a squat and you fall over. Can you do that for us? Let's see your acting skills. Try and do a squat now. He's got like 150 kilos. And he breaks, his back breaks, he falls over, he's crushed. And that's what stress does. Give Jack a round of applause. Well done, mate. That's what stress does if it's not managed, if we don't embrace it, if we're not realistic about it, if we're not authentic. We keep putting plates on and on and on, but we never think, do I need a breather? We never think, should I call someone in here, a man, a father, a coach, an expert, someone to come and spot me while I'm carrying, because you're not always maxed out. You're not always maxed out with plates on your shoulders. Sometimes life is a little bit more straightforward. Yeah, it's a challenge and work and family, but everything's kind of ticking over and we're going okay. And in those days, it's heavy, but I can do a squat. It's when life throws things at you that you didn't expect, curveballs, things come from left field. It's when you're not authentic and honest and the plates are being stacked on, but you're not thinking about it, you're not talking about it, you're not addressing it. There's emotional challenges, there's friction in relationships and the plates are being stacked on, but do you realize it's getting heavier? There's mental challenges and my budget's not working and I bought a house but I haven't got the money to pay the mortgage and I've got myself in a bit of a financial bind but I'm just going to pretend it doesn't exist and not answer letters and calls from the bank, and the weights are getting put on more and more and more. Spiritually, I feel like I'm in a dry patch and I'm serving my church, but it's not very fun anymore. And I thought if I served God, then, he would give me things and bless me. And the whole calculations aren't working out anymore. What's happening? More plates, more stresses are being put on, but we're not addressing them. We're not looking at, well, what's the problem? What's the misunderstanding? Is there a lie operating here? Is there as Pop spoke before, is there a family of origin issue that's creating a misunderstanding? Is there a theological issue, a spiritual part of me that I theologically thought this about God, but it's not fully accurate? Again, if we're not authentic, we don't begin to look into these things. I want you to write down a couple of things for me here. The lie. These are the stresses that often reveal issues. It's the lie. The lie is the issue that's revealed. It's the rationalization. I'm strong, I can do it. I'm a man, aren't I meant to, endure hard things? The justification. I won't sin again. I won't do that again. I can handle it. I don't need to tell anyone I can handle it. It's the story we tell ourselves, the half-truth. I'm doing it for my family. I'll get through this. God will show me grace. But God is saying to you, hang on a second, I don't want to keep showing you grace. I want you to think. Hang on a second, I don't want to keep showing you grace. I want you to connect in a community and get input from other people. That's how I've designed you, to be connected. We can't just put everything on God and that becomes our story that he'll do it. And if we fall apart, then he didn't do it. It's too simple. It's oversimplifying God. It's making God into who we think he should be rather than learning, growing, and understanding how God is. The lie. Secondly, the inauthenticity. The inauthenticity. Just where we're not honest. It's where we suspend reality. We put reality to the side, put our head in the sand. Thirdly, the denial. This is what happens when the weights get too heavy, when we haven't addressed the physical, the emotional, the mental, the spiritual. The denial. We deny one of the 4 parts. Maybe we deny our heart. Maybe we deny our mental state. Maybe we deny our spiritual walk. We pretend there's not a problem. That's what denial is. We act as if there's not a problem. Number 4, the attrition. The attrition. This is the car that never gets serviced and it runs down. This is the sickness, the ailment, the injury, but we never go to the doctor or the physio and we work it out. And eventually, without servicing, without tending to, attrition kicks in. I see it all the time in the church. People run dry because they think that serving God or serving in the house of God or following Jesus, they think that just doing that will result in wealth, prosperity, freedom, perfection. Everything in life will be perfect. And then as they realize it doesn't just work out like that, there's a devil. God's designed it for you to grow. You got to pray. You got to seek him and find him. You know, the picture of a man is King David in the Psalms. How often do you go to the Psalms in your prayer time and just read through them? What's David saying in the Psalms? Not perfection and peace, and he's saying, where are you, God? What's going on, God? I'm dying here. People are against me, but I love you, but I serve you, but I trust in you, but I seek you. And, you know, that's a real man who's healthy in their spirit. They can cry out to God. They can be frustrated, if you like, at God, but they always come back to the truth. They always dwell on the goodness of God. They always put their trust in him despite the challenges of life. But when we don't do that, the attrition gets us. The attrition is like the soldier coming back from war with the PTSD or the shell shock. It's just the attrition of battle. Eventually it catches up to you. It's the attrition of the snag that keeps snagging and snagging and snagging. The first time it snags, it doesn't hurt. The second time, not too much of a problem, but eventually that snag, it runs the vehicle down, it runs the body down, it runs the system down. Things have to be dealt with. Number 5, the consequences. The consequences. A man who's not authentic and doesn't tend to the 4 parts of his life well, there's consequences. This is where affairs happen. Backsliding happens. Your kids grow up, and then one day they're a beautiful Christian kid at 8, and in a moment they're a delinquent 15-year-old, and you think, what happened? But you can't stick your head in the sand and think your kids are going to work out with God. It takes work, it takes engagement, it takes authenticity. The consequences, so we fall into self-medications, alcohol, pornography, all these common snags that happen because we're not addressing these 4 parts of our life and being honest about it. So what happens is we have to find something to dull the pain. Maybe it's too much video gaming. Maybe it's an overemphasis on watching sport. Maybe it's gambling. There's all kinds of things that come in. And some things are not seen in Aussie culture as that bad. Gambling, alcohol, whatever. But it's not about what the government says is good or bad. It's about what your heart says is good for you or not. It's about the motive of your heart, why you go there or not. There's nothing wrong with sport, but sport can be a self-medication. There's nothing wrong with following Jesus or church, but I'm telling you, for some people, even church can be a self-medication, a suspense of reality, a getting out of actually having a real relationship with God. Can you imagine that? It's true. Religion can just be another form of self-medication. The consequences. Passivity is a big, big consequence for men. It's usually the first one. We disengage, we become inactive, we recoil in the home. We could be the CEO out there and the business leader and, hiring and firing, but we come into the home and we're silent, we're quiet, we're hidden. And what do we tell ourselves? Well, it's more the mum's role to kind of raise the kids and she runs the home. And we sell ourselves these lies of denial. They're not honest. They're not authentic. Rather than going far out, I get home, I have zero emotional energy for my children. I don't really want to wrestle with them. I don't really want to sit down and ask them about their day. I don't really want to go outside again and ride the bike again. I'm kind of like, I just need some time. I've had a big day. That's the moment when you go, there's something not right. Because part of me wants to spend time with my children, that part of me doesn't want to. That's the moment where God's saying, be authentic, be honest, address the snag that's going on there. Look into that. Why not? Of course you need to love your children and spend time with them. So address it, find out why, rather than denying it, excusing it, rationalizing it, because then you're putting aside the emotional part, the heart part of your life. It might not have consequences today. It might not have consequences in a year, but one day there will be consequences. One day you could fall off that cliff, and then all your good intentions as a father are over in a moment because you break and you're just a broken down car on the side of the road. And then what happens is you got to start again. Some people have to go to break because it's the only way. They didn't heed the warning signs, they didn't look at the petrol gauge, and they go to breakdown. But then God in his mercy will always bring you back. But men, there's a better way than breakdown. There's a better way than mental bust. There's a better way than backsliding. There's a better way than emotionally falling apart. There's a better way. Deal with the stresses before you get to that squat that's going to break you. God's good. He shows you along the way. Why do men persevere until they do great things? Why do men persevere like Washington in this fledgling country of America until they do great things? Why do we see, great fathers in the church here, ones like Pop and Pastor Andrew, Pastor Pete and Pastor Rod? We see just great things. All of you have greatness in your different areas and the way you lead your home and follow God and whatever. Why? Well, at the end of the day, they're authentic. The only way you can move on to greatness, to be a great dad, to be a great husband, to be a great church member, to be a great man of God, the only way is if you're fully authentic. You're honest, you're in reality, and you're actively moving towards the truth, towards goodness. It's the only way. Denial, half-truths, telling stories, rationalization, sticking your head in the sand does not lead on to greatness. And I hope you're challenged today that it's not only about being able to share information or share I'm having a bad day or share this is my financial situation, it's really difficult. That's an element of authenticity, but authenticity is more than just honesty. It's embracing the truth. It's moving towards the truth. It's being active. And it's recognizing first and foremost that at the end of the day, only me can take responsibility for me. Only I can really control I. God is only going to speak to me. Ultimately, God is only going to speak to me about me. You have the most amazing marriage in the world, but God will still look at you and you still need to look at God. You can be a phenomenal father and your kids can be doing great and they can be growing up and going on for God and all the desires of your heart. But still at the end of the day, only God and you can do it together, can look at your heart. Look at your physical side, your skill side, your emotional side. Only you and God can do that, and only you can be responsible for that. Men that are authentic are men that are responsible for their lives, and they're responsible for the 4 parts of who they are as a man. Don't tie all your manhood up in the physical. Don't tie it all up in the spiritual. Don't bottleneck it all in the emotional. Make sure that your manhood is equally outworked and flourishing in all 4 areas, because that's what it is to be human. To be a man is not just to be a physical man. To be a man is to be all 4 parts of manhood. I want to encourage you now, just on your tables. I'll do the pairs bit later, but just as a table, first of all, the first question, which of the 4 parts are a concern for you? Maybe we just share with each other. For you, what sticks out? Which part? Is it the mind? Is it the heart, the EQ? Is it the physical? Or is it which one did I miss there? Or is it the spiritual? Which part is a concern for you? Which part is a challenge for you? And maybe it hasn't always been this way, but maybe it's right now it's a challenge, and that's okay. Can we take a moment just to be authentic? Not only to be honest, because I know most of us are pretty good at that, but to be really authentic. Share with the people on your table about the reality. the reality you're embracing, the truth you're moving towards. I'll give you a moment and then I want to get in pairs, older and younger, and do another little exercise.